What's good, Buck Nation? It's your rude boy, Juan Swagadello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tough Bucs. Today, we'll be discussing the Buccaneers' Week 4 thrilling win over the Los Angeles Rams. We'll then preview the Bucs' Week 5 matchup against our arch nemesis, the New Orlean Saints. So let's giddy up. Wow, what a game we had this past weekend, folks. That is what you call a slobber knocker, and your boy's still recovering from the game because I was turned up in the LA Coliseum. Similar to the game against the Giants, the Buccaneers came out hot, firing the cannons at will, and jumped to a quick 21-0 lead in the first half. And similar to the game against the Giants, the Buccaneers defense, in particular the secondary, almost gave up that lead. However, unlike last week, the Bucs finished strong, never gave up that lead, and put up a franchise record in points scored in a game for the W against the defending NFC champions, the LA Rams. To put it simply, Bruce Arians ain't around. Jameis Winston had a career game and went toe-to-toe against a really good Rams defense. He was quick and efficient with his passes and did a great job distributing the ball and getting all of his receivers involved. His best throw of the day went to Mike Evans, who just ran past Marcus Peters for a 67-yard touchdown. Even when the Rams seemed to get momentum and got closer, Winston would respond back with drives that would result into touchdowns or field goals. Speaking of field goals, Matt Gay bounced back from his forgettable performance against the Giants and was perfect on the day and even hit a booming 58-yard field goal. Overall, the offense was solid. Byron Leftwich called a balanced game, and unlike the game against the Giants where he got conservative in the second half, against the Rams it was all sails ahead. The ground game was solid as both Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones both had rushing touchdowns and moved the ball well. The offensive line were the unsung heroes here as they did a great job containing the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald, in check. Finally, and most importantly, the Bucs were efficient in the red zone, going 5 for 6. In the 3 games prior, they were a whopping 3-11. This week's Offensive Tough Buck award would have gone to Jameis Winston, but he threw an almost costly pick 6 in the fourth quarter, bringing the Rams within 5 and putting the Bucs in a precarious situation. So because of that, I'm going to give the Tough Buck award to my guy Chris Godwin, who had himself a career game with a career high in receptions and yards, and also grabbed himself 2 touchdowns along the way. All 12 receptions were for first downs or touchdowns, and Godwin has been instrumental to the Bucs offense this season and is on pace for double-digit touchdowns and 1,000 yards receptions. Here's to you, Chris. On the defensive side of the ball, the D-line set the tone yet again, putting constant pressure on Jared Goff. Goff had a miserable day and was picked off by the Buccaneers 3 times in the first half alone. One by Jordan Whitehead, the second by Levante David, and the third by none other than Moochman Shaq Barrett. In total, Goff had 4 turnovers and they all led to points. In terms of rushing defense, for the 3rd week in a row, the Bucs defense rendered yet another elite running back obsolete. Yeah, Gurley did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but outside of that, he was a no-show in the run game. Now let's talk about the secondary. This is clearly the weak link of the Bucs D, and their plan the last 2 weeks hasn't been the best. Quite frankly, they almost let the Rams come back in this game. Goff threw for a career-high 517 yards, but fortunately for them, the D-line bailed them out by a Ndamukong Suh fumble return for a touchdown that sealed the win. Granted, the Rams were forced to throw the ball, but still, that's a lot of yards to give up. I will say one area where the secondary did a good job at in this game was their tackling. Against the Giants, they had a few missed tackles that bit them in the ass, but against an explosive offense such as the Rams, they got some key open field tackles to prevent first downs. I'd like to see both Vernon Hargreaves and Carlton Davis step it up in this next week's game and not give up so many passing yards, because they've been getting beat and beat often. Moving on to the Defensive Tough Buck Award. Look, I'd love to give it to someone else, but until another player steps up and outperforms this guy, there's nothing much I can do. For the 3rd straight week, the Tough Buck Award goes to Moochman, aka Shaq Barrett. Against the Rams, Shaq clipped Jared Goff's hand that would result into a Jordan Whitehead interception. got an interception of his own, and recorded a strip sack that was returned for the game-sealing touchdown. To put it simply, Shaq is a bad dude. And frankly, if he's not the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year through the first quarter of the season, then that's some highway robbery. Here's to you, Mooch Man. With an exciting win over the defending NFC champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will sail to the Bayou and go up against the NFC runner-ups from last year and our divisional rivals, the New Orlean Saints, who are currently at the top of the NFC South at 3-1. Alright, so let's talk about the Saints offense. For the fourth straight week in a row, the Bucs will have to go up against another elite running back, this time in the form of Alvin Kamara. For the most part, the Bucs have held the prior 3 running backs in check, and honestly, with the way the D-line has played thus far, I like our chances here, especially because the offensive line of the Saints have played poorly thus far. Drew Brees' backup, Teddy Bridgewater, did just enough to beat the Cowboys last week, but their offense wasn't able to score any points. And since starting, he hasn't been able to push the football downfield, and against a Bucs offense that's ready to fire the cannons at will, that won't be enough, baby. Obviously, one player the Bucs will need to lock down is Michael Thomas. Good luck, Vernon Hargreaves and Carlton Davis. You're gonna need it. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, the New Orleans Saints are 2-0 without Drew Brees starting as their quarterback. Who would have thought, right? It's definitely not because of their offense, though. Their defense is the reason why. Part of their success against the Seahawks was their special teams, and against the Cowboys, it was their ability to create turnovers. They have a lot of great players on that side of the ball, but they haven't been all that thus far in the season. However, it is a divisional matchup, and the Saints are familiar with the Bucs personnel. They'll play them tough. Can the Bucs continue to fire the cannons at will? We'll see. Now that we're all caught up with the Saints, let's take a look at a key matchup in this game. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league at this moment. Marshawn Lattimore has struggled early in the season but bounced back against the Cowboys, and Eli Apple has improved as a player since being traded from the New York Giants. Which duo will have a better game? Devin White and Jamel Dean are both questionable again for their Week 5 matchup against the Saints. Coach Bruce Arians said that he's hopeful the first-round draft pick returns to practice this week. Last week I came out even once again, hitting the spread but whiffing on the over-under. My average for the year is still at 500. The Bucs are 3.5-point underdogs in this one. I'm taking Tampa to win it outright, baby. The line started out at 6.5 points, but it moved down because that was too juicy of a bet and everyone was taking it. The Saints have been struggling to put up points on the offensive side of the ball, whereas the Bucs haven't. If the Bucs come out hot like they did the last 2 weeks, then the Saints won't stand a chance. The Bucs D-line will come through again and apply pressure to Bridgewater and take Kamara out of the game. The Dome is a tough place to play in, but the Bucs won last year in a shootout, and I think they'll do so again this year. I think the Bucs will be able to put up points and will force the Saints to be more vertical than they have been thus far. The Saints are a dink and dunk team, and that's not going to cut it against the Bucs. However, the Bucs defense is 30th in points allowed per game at 29.3. I'm going to take my chances on the over. And that's our Week 5 preview of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. Let me know who you think will win this game by leaving a comment below. If you liked the video, hit the like and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're a real tough Buck, then click that bell icon so that you get real-time notifications on when new videos drop. So until next time, Buck Nation, keep firing the cannon.